Welcome back to a new episode of Brand vs. Basic. Today we are tackling hamburger. In fact, we're tackling hamburgers, the food. But we're gonna be taking a slightly different approach this time. Rather than making the whole recipe with good ingredients and different ingredients, I guess it's cheap versus expensive, instead of our normal method, we are going to be doing the same recipe, but only one ingredient. The main, primary, and most important ingredient is what's going to change. We're just gonna be doing hamburgers. Make them into patties, cook them on the grill, serve them on buns with whatever toppings you want. But we've got 3 different grades of ground beef. And we didn't even get into buying your own beef and grinding it yourself. This is 3 different grades of beef that comes pre-ground from the store. And we're also not sticking as much to the rule that it has to be as close to the same thing as possible. We're just going with cost. You get the cheaper stuff, you get slightly more expensive, or you get the most expensive you can find. If they aren't exactly the same, well, I think I've got 3 different amounts of lean versus fat here. So we're kind of gonna see, is the cost and quality what makes the difference, or is the fat content gonna make the more difference? Because we've got more fat in our lowest cost one than in our mid-range, but our highest cost one is probably the highest fat content of all. It's pretty straightforward. We're gonna make the patties, we're gonna cook them, we're gonna let people build their own burgers and see which one they like the best. Now, in terms of cost, while making this video, it's middle of 2022, and the cost of beef is still fairly high compared to where it's been historically, but the 3 different costs. We had $4.08 per pound for the cheapest stuff, for the mid-grade stuff, which is just another grocery store brand, but it's a nicer grocery store. This was $5.99 a pound. And then we have our American Wagyu ground beef, and that was $9.99 a pound. About 3 years ago, this stuff was $5.99 a pound, and this I think was $3. So yeah, the costs have gone up, but they all pretty much scaled about the same amount, or at least the same percent. So we've got our 3 different types of beef. We need to know how much better is the expensive stuff than the cheap stuff. We've got all of the ingredients, it's time to prep everything. Now, while we're not necessarily using the exact same versions of ingredients, one thing I do want to do to keep everything pretty much the same is I want all of the burgers to be the same size. So I'm gonna be using a scale to weigh out each patty to make sure that we don't have one that's like a lot thicker than the others or something like that, changing how they cook and how people experience them. Great, we're going with 75 grams. So I've moved from the lowest grade to the mid grade, and while I haven't tasted it yet, I can tell that something is very different about the meat. I don't know if it's the types of cuts that were used, the amount of fat, or what, but it should all be about the same temperature, but the texture is very different. The cheaper stuff, it wouldn't stick to itself very well. It would stick to my hands very well. And this mid-grade stuff is the opposite. Like it holds itself together so much better, and it doesn't really stick to my hands. So I'm not 100% sure what causes that. All right, now while we let the burgers chill for just a bit, let's catch up on the sponsor for today's video, NordVPN. Have you ever heard of a man-in-the-middle attack? A falsely named free Wi-Fi could be an unsecured trap, giving access to your computer to a stranger with bad intentions. You can protect yourself from these kinds of attacks using NordVPN to encrypt your data. The internet is great, but if you find yourself getting hacked or tracked, you could be in quite a pickle. NordVPN makes it super easy to protect yourself online with one-click security, or you can even set up AutoConnect for zero-click security. Let us get down to the meat of the matter. NordVPN routes your internet traffic through one of their 5,400 plus servers around the world to keep your browsing safe. And NordVPN, like an onion, can have layers. You can now enable double VPN to route your traffic through 2 servers, doubling the encryption. Don't tiptoe around your security. NordVPN now includes anti-malware with their threat protection. It blocks intrusive ads and web trackers and scans for malicious URLs. Now, I realize that these hamburger puns are a bit cheesy, but to avoid getting grilled online by hackers and trackers, you need to take action. Get your exclusive NordVPN deal right here. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. All right, now that you're fired up about your internet security, let's fire up the grill. All right, the patties are all prepped. They're in the fridge. We're moving on to getting all of the rest of the stuff ready. Who likes tomatoes? So we have 3 grades of burger here. We have cheapest kind I could find from Walmart. We have the store brand from Harmon's, which is probably a lot better. And we have Snake River Farms American Wagyu ground beef. There are 12 of each burger. And so there should be enough for everyone to have 2 of each kind. And I would encourage a plain burger, so it's just kind of like bun and meat, so you can really get a sense for the taste. Now, I should also say, I seasoned nothing, so they don't even have salt. So you may want to add some salt to your burgers. But then also, do a burger where it's like built up with all the toppings. And if you're doing that, I recommend doing the same thing 3 times. So I would say in any order that you want, go ahead and try some burgers.
Yeah, I'm picking this one first.
Salt. Needs salt. Beef is good, but it does need salt. Well, the good news is I don't hate any of them. Those ones did light on fire more. Despite all attempts to cook them exactly the same, they really just wanted to light on fire. I have very much decided that they need salt. There's many ways to prepare a burger, and I think that could change the outcome of this experiment. For example, if we were doing smash burgers that had burger, cheese, end of burger, like, I think it'd be easier to tell. All right, just share thoughts. We're not gonna be splitting, we're just, what do you think? Can you tell a difference? What do you like best?
I think the fat content in this one's gotta be higher just for how juicy it is.
And tasty.
And it just tastes like beef, it tastes musky and good. That tastes good, but
It's
not
like regular burger.
amazing regular, that tastes like comfort.
It's a little dry.
I can't taste that much of a difference between the middle and the high one. They're really close to me, and if I was eating either one, I would be so happy. I would be sad with the bottom one, but I mean, it's a burger. So I'm gonna eat it, like that far one.
Well, you have correctly identified the low, mid, and high grade. Now, I gotta say, I think it's been revealed as we do these that I personally don't have the most sensitive palate. When I'm eating the meat plain, I can definitely tell the difference. That one, like you said, it's kind of meh. I think the strongest flavor coming through is the burnt flavor from where it was flaring up so much. But even if you eat a piece that's not too burnt, like it's not that much, the other two definitely have more flavor. And I do think that I like this one the best. But when I build the burger out like this, I don't think I'd pass a blind test. Even between the top and the bottom, I think in a blind test, I couldn't tell them apart on my fully built out burger. Now again, if you were just doing like burger cheese bun and like you're doing smash burgers or something, I think you'd be able to tell. Some of you might have much more sensitive palates and be able to tell anyway. But as we're preparing these with like all the fixins, whatever you like on a burger, to me, the burger flavor's in there, but it's not strong enough to really stand out.
I think this one stands out quite a bit because
Negatively?
of, yeah, negatively. Like I get when I bit into it, even with all the fixings, it's like,
How disappointing.
yeah, not great. But I think I could probably confuse these two as well.
I mean, if I'm cooking for me and my wife, I might go for the better one. But if I'm cooking for a group of people, let's go mid-grade.
That's kind of one thing. Like, if you're hosting a party, unless you are saying, like, everyone come over, I'm making amazing burgers and you should come over for the amazing burgers. Unless that's the pitch you threw people or threw that on the invitations, I wouldn't spend the extra money for this style burger. Cameraman Keith and I have made smash burgers before and used the Wagyu and like melted cheese on it. So you got like the burger, the cheese, put that on a bun. And we weren't doing side-by-side tests, but man, those were delicious. Incredibly tender, super flavorful. So I don't know, maybe we have to revisit and do smash burgers. Is anyone opposed to having more burgers at some point? No? It's unanimous. Great. We all agree. From what I've researched about making burgers and how to have a good blend of meats and stuff, it comes down to a lot of like what part of the cow goes into it, because some cuts are way stickier to themselves. So I don't know what's in this one, but it does not stick to itself. These ones stuck together so much better. This has most fat, but it might be the part of the animal fat. Like maybe that's fat from a muscle that renders out more easily or something. Whereas this is, you know, something else that sticks together better. But I kind of want to try a blind test. I would say let's do meat with salt on it. But if people want to like just give me put some salt and then I'll trade you and I'll feed you guys. And there's salt, there's a knife.
Don't assault it. Not yet. Do we have
You should like roll a die for when you hand me, so it's truly random. Am I supposed to comment and guess now, or do I try all three and then see what I said? Mid, high, low.
Yep.
That's correct.
Yep.
That was way more obvious than I thought it was going to be, honestly. Like, the first one I was eating was like, that's fine. Is that the high one?
That's a burger.
You gave me the high one and just so much more flavor to it. Like, crazy difference. And then, yeah, this last one that's still, that's rough.
the palate cleanser?
That is rough.
The bird's cardboard.
All right, there you go. Opinions about the different grades of beef. I gotta say, I personally thought it was very clear which one was different when the meat was the focus. It got a little lost in there with all of the ingredients, in my opinion, but if you've got something that's really trying to highlight the flavor of the meat, if you're just looking for a really good burger, I would say the quality definitely matters. The cheaper stuff, it tastes cheaper, it tastes worse. It doesn't really have much beef flavor. It's just kind of putting salt on filler at that point. So, to me, clear winner for the more expensive one, clear loser for the cheaper one. The difference between the mid and high, I would say, is not going to be very noticeable if you're doing full burgers, but I would stay clear of the cheap one if you're going to be serving burgers to your friends. All right, guys, what else would you like us to test on brand versus basic? Would you like us to revisit anything? Try something completely new? Something that I've never even thought of before? Let us know down in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for all the supporters of this channel, and especially those who support us on Patreon. If you're interested in helping us out, make some cool videos, the link to join the Patreon is down in the description.